Hi guys, welcome back to Train Simulator 2016, and today we're going to drive in standard mode, and we're going for a yellow difficulty run, so we're going to go for Up for the Cup, which is on the East Coast Main Line. So let's have a look at that. It's an FA Cup clash between local rivals York and Darlington. Special football service been laid on, headed by a Class 55 Deltic locomotive. With one stop at Northallerton, you must arrive at Darlington before 2:05 p.m. to ensure all the fans get to the match on time, but be wary in case they get too excited before arriving. Sounds interesting. 40 minutes medium difficulty. So, going to a football match. So we're just waiting for that to load. Again, we've got the lunar sail being advertised there. And we should get some splash screens advertising some DLCs. Usually do as it loads. Trains and routes. Or maybe not on this one. Oh yes, there we go. There's a train. BR Class 40. And that's a German route there. So this one we've got separate throttle and brakes. Good afternoon, we're working closely with the police today. There'll be a police sergeant travelling with you just to keep an eye on things. Good luck. Oh dear. Sounds like fun. Okay. So I can only assume that we need to open the doors here. Reverse them into forwards. This will be the brakes. I'm not sure we did need to open the doors because it doesn't look like anybody's getting on, and there's no red bar going across there. But I can't close the doors. Oh, we have closed the doors. There we go. Right, so let's go back inside. So I assume we're okay to go. That's the only thing I can assume from that. If we're not, we'll probably get a message that we should have stayed there a bit longer or something, but I think the point is that we need to be stopping at Northallerton. That was the only stop, they said, and then getting them there for 2:05 for the match. Make sure they all get into the game on time, so let's see if we can do that for them. Rather long train coming in. So driving a football special is a bit different. Certainly not done this before. So we're in a 15 mile an hour limit, so obviously keeping the speed around 15.3, 15.2, something like that, and we're now in the 30, so we can start to get a bit of speed up. Not quite like driving an electric train, that's for sure. A lot noisier. So let's try and go up to 30 now. Got a green signal, so remember in previous last couple of scenarios we've had a combined throttle and brake. This one has a separate brake over here, so if we do need to stop, the black slider is the brake, the red one is the throttle. So Northallerton, which is our only stop, is 29 miles away, so it's going to be a while before we get there. Turn the wipers on because it's just started to rain. Just need to brake a little bit. Just be going down a hill here because I've got no acceleration, well, a tiny bit of acceleration on, to be fair, but we seem to be picking up speed quite easily, so I suspect it could be slightly downhill, but it's level now. So let's try and move above, a little bit above 30. And we're coming towards a 50 and then 125, so I don't know if this train is capable of 125. We might find out. So we're at the moment more concerned with the 50 mile an hour limit that we're just coming into. With the rain and the rails being a bit wet, we need to make sure we don't go straight up to 100% acceleration. That could cause wheel slip in these conditions. So to be on the safe side, we'll be not going straight to 100. Another train coming the other way. And we just had the tone from the sensor there telling us that the signal is green. So we're fast approaching the 50 mile an hour limit, and by the time we get near to 50 we should be going into the 125 limit. So then we'll be trying to get a bit of extra speed and see what we can do in that limit. Just going to make sure we don't go over. Ah, there we go, into the 125, so let's start accelerating again. Okay, that should have avoided wheel slip, so we'll go to the 100. I'm not sure if this train is actually capable of 125 miles an hour, but we'll soon find out. Can't actually see anybody on the train, but that's a first class carriage, and I doubt the football fans are travelling first class. So one can only assume that they're on the train somewhere. Good old English football weather in the rain, very grey skies. Always makes games interesting when it rains. A lot harder for the players to control the ball and so on when they're slipping and sliding about, so hope it's a good game for the fans anyway. So we're approaching 100 mile an hour now, so it looks like this train may be capable of 125. It certainly doesn't seem to have any problems so far. So we're 25 miles still away from Northallerton. So I can only assume the principle of stopping at Northallerton is there possibly are some more fans there that we're picking up on the way to the game. I can't believe anybody on the train will be getting off if they're going to the game, so one assumes there'll be more people getting on. The lights have all been green so far, so maybe because it's a special service we've been cleared all the way through. You never know. Let's hope so, that would be very helpful. Certainly another one there. Yeah, that single tone that's telling us the signal is green. If it's anything else, we'll need to acknowledge the warning when it comes up, but at the moment all green, all good, in less than totally pleasant weather, one has to say. So we're doing 108 now, and it doesn't look like we're going to go any faster, so it looks like that might be the maximum speed of the train. I suspected it may not be capable of 125, so it looks like 108 is about the best we can get out of it. And possibly, I suppose, if we've got a downhill stretch, it may pick up a bit more speed going downhill. But at the moment it looks like 108 is the best we're going to do. That's not too bad, 22 miles to go, so to Darlington, so shouldn't be too bad getting there, hopefully. So I guess the reason this scenario is yellow rather than green is partially the weather and the potential for wheel slip and drive quality penalties, and also the fact that the timetable is quite tight and we need to get them there for 2:05 no matter what. They won't be too happy if we get there late and they miss kick-off, so let's do our best to get them there on time. Certainly not a very pleasant day. We've got 21 miles to go, so we'll have a quick look outside. So that's us. Quite a few carriages behind us. You can see the diesel train belting out a bit of smoke. Not quite like the electric ones that you get on a lot of the scenarios. Diesel trains were a common sight across the UK on the trains a few years back, but now most lines are electrified. So the vast majority of trains now are electric and a lot smoother and quieter. And obviously a lot less pollution as a result as well, which is to be a good thing. Good for the environment and all that. Prevent global warming or climate change or whatever. It's pretty typical weather for what the UK has had this winter. Wind and rain rather than snow and ice. Of course, America had very bad snowstorms recently, New York area and so on. But the UK, no, it's been lots of storms, wind, heavy rain, flooding, all that sort of thing. Particularly Scotland area has been quite badly hit. Cumbria, the other side of the country from where we are. Cumbria's on the west coast, and a number of areas in Cumbria were quite seriously flooded. So yeah, it's been a strange year for weather. Ordinarily this year we'd be expecting snow and ice and severe frosts, and we've hardly had any frost at all. I haven't de-iced my car once this year in the mornings, which is unusual. I bought a can of de-icer, make sure I've got it in the car in case I need it, and haven't needed it at all. We are now, what, mid-February, so, well, early to mid-February, so it's still possible. I mean, seasons do seem to not be running quite the way perhaps you used to expect them to, so maybe we're going to get a cold snap a bit later than normal. I was talking to someone today, and squirrels are still around, which is not right, because really they should be hibernated this time of year. They should have collected all their nuts to get through the winter and hibernated and not be seen until the spring, but apparently there's a few still running around, so it shows that it has been extremely mild for the time of year. There's been lots of flowers out that shouldn't be coming out until spring. One wonders if we do then suddenly get a cold snap, what effect that'll have on the flowers and the squirrels and so on. Be a bit of a shock to us all if it suddenly does turn extremely cold. Let's hope it doesn't. So we're down to 14.5 miles now to Darlington. That's our only stop on the route, so we'll just check our task list, and we're going to pick up passengers from Darlington and then Darlington. So the game is between York and Darlington. We're heading to Darlington, so we must be carrying York City supporters to the game. I think it said it was an FA Cup game. So nice straight piece of track here, green signal still, always a good thing. So far it's been reasonably straightforward for something that is yellow difficulty. I was expecting it might be, you know, a bit worse than this, to be honest, but it doesn't seem too bad so far. This is a very straight piece of track down here. But our train is still running at 108, so I think 108 miles an hour is the best we're going to get out of this particular train. 108 miles an hour is not bad. We are in a 125 mile an hour limit, so if the train was capable of it, you could be doing 125 down here. But it does look very wet. So the key thing in these conditions really is to accelerate gently and brake gently. That should hopefully avoid wheel slippage on the wet tracks. So about 11.5 miles now to Northallerton. Not sure how far Darlington is the other side of that, but we'll see. But it would seem that we have a train full of York City fans heading to an FA Cup game at Darlington. So Darlington at home. Potentially make some favourites, but who knows with these things. For those who are not in the UK or don't know about UK soccer, the FA Cup is a very important competition that all sides like to do well in. It involves teams from different divisions, so it's very possible that Darlington and York may not be in the same division, so may not play each other in the regular course of the season, and have been drawn against each other in this FA Cup match. Of course, I call it a football match, the Americans would call it soccer. Football in America means American football. Super Bowl was the weekend just gone, which I watched. A game where the defence were very much on top, which in my view doesn't make for the greatest viewing of a Super Bowl, but still interesting to see, you know, how good the defences are. They certainly had the better of it in that game. The offences were seriously struggling to move the ball very far down the pitch. American football has become reasonably popular in the UK. I mean, obviously not as popular as in the US, but there are NFL games which are now played in the UK each year, which attract quite a lot of spectators. So it is gaining popularity in the UK. Certainly a bit different to watching soccer, and I suppose it's a bit more like rugby, but they're really not comparable. I mean, in American football the game stops a lot after each play. In many ways it's a bit more tactical, because after each play they've got time to work out what they're going to do on the next play and see how the defence lines up and whether they need to change the play in accordance with that. Whereas rugby is much more sort of flowing and don't really have the time to stop and think so much. In many ways that's the fascinating thing about American football. It's a tactical battle. It's always good to see an offence that can run the ball as well as pass. And usually exciting if you get to the last few minutes of the game and the scores are close. You've got a team looking for a touchdown or a field goal to win the game. It's always quite exciting. So we are getting close to Northallerton now. We're about 5 miles out. So I'm going to close down the acceleration and let it coast towards the station at this point, and then I'll be gently applying the brakes to slow us down, to stop at Darlington, and as I say, I assume pick up more York fans. So signals are still green. We are gently slowing down. We're down to about 102 now and 4 miles to go, so it should be fine. We can probably put a little bit of acceleration on and just keep it around about 100 miles an hour, bearing in mind we do need to apply the brakes gently, so it's going to take a reasonable distance to slow down. We haven't yet seen how good this train is at slowing down, so we need to be a little bit careful to make sure we're in no danger of overshooting the platform at Darlington, but I don't think that'll be a problem. So we're going to coast again, and I'm going to get all ready to apply the brakes because we're now down to about 2 3/4 miles to go, and we're doing almost 100 miles an hour. So we're coming up on an 80, so we'll see how close we get to 80 without applying the brakes at all, but I don't think we're going to make it down to 80, so give it a little bit of brake and we should be able to see the speed drop quite nicely. Don't you hear that single tone from the TPWS sensors, train protection warning system? Just that single tone indicating that the next signal is green. We've had them all the way, so that's good news. So we're now down to under the 80 miles an hour as we come into that limit, but Darlington platform is coming up very quick. It's less than 1.5 miles now. Again, the train going the other way. Looks like a freight train this time. So we're going to start slowing down now. As I say, gentle braking just to slow down and hopefully not have to brake too hard as we come into the station, so we avoid any problems with wheel slip. I have to say I generally prefer scenarios where there are more stops than this, but this is different. It's certainly not your average scenario running a football special, so it's always good to try new things. I'm applying a bit more brake now because we are coming into the station and still doing 40 miles an hour. Train seems pretty good at slowing down. Didn't seem to be too much of a problem to slow it down. It's not like we're on a steep downslope or anything like that, when obviously slowing heavy trains down can be a lot more difficult. But we're now fast approaching the station, so we'll just let it coast in a little bit and just keep gently applying the brakes. There's a few people on the platform. Not sure if they're football fans waiting for this train or whether they're general passengers waiting for a later train. Okay, so we need to be stopping here, so that's fine. So we'll open the doors, go outside and have a look. You can see doors open back there, so people are walking back to get onto the train back there by the look of it. As I expected, there's nobody getting off, I don't think. I wouldn't expect there would be. There's a few people getting on and a few people on the platform who are obviously waiting for something else. So it looks like we're ready to go. So we'll gently apply the accelerator. Slightly strange noise, but hopefully it's just the train starting to accelerate, I assume. No sign that we're getting penalties for wheel slip or anything, so now our priority is to get there by 14:05, they said. Now ETA is currently at 14:02 and 33 seconds, so we're going to be early by the look of things. I'm sure they won't complain about that, give them a few minutes extra to get into the ground. So it's 14 miles to Darlington, so not as far as the previous section up to Northallerton, so should be a bit quicker getting there. Just have a little look outside. That's our train. So coming up on 50 miles an hour now, we're in an 80 limit. Can't see any change in the limit coming, so we need to make sure we don't go beyond 80, at least not by very much. You can go to like 80.9, hit 81 and that's when you're speeding technically. So we're going to do our best to avoid that. And by accelerating and braking gently, hopefully avoid wheel slip problems as well. So I'm going to start reducing the acceleration a bit because we're getting very close to 80 now. 79. Okay, so that's 80, so we'll sort of keep it a little bit above the 80 mile an hour. As I say, the simulation does allow you to go to like 80.9 in an 80. It doesn't actually say you're speeding until you hit 81. I'm not sure if that's how things work in reality, but it's certainly how it works in the simulator, so you take advantage of what you can, I guess. Again, single tone, green lights. Looks like the rain may have stopped. Let's turn the wipers. Oh, now says we're speeding. As soon as I said that, there we go, we're okay now. So yeah, it looks like the rain has just about stopped. Could be a good thing for the game. And we are 11.5 miles out. And we're doing 80 miles an hour, so should be there in 10 minutes, something like that, maybe a little bit less. We're at 13:52 and we're due, according to the ETA, we're going to be in there at 14:02, so it is indeed about 10 minutes away. Time we had to be there was 14:05, so we are heading for being a couple of 3 minutes early. You never know if there could be a red signal before we get there, which could cost us some time, so not a bad thing to be slightly ahead of schedule, I would say. Train coming the other way. See the smoke coming out of it from the diesels. Something you don't get with the modern electric trains. How things change over the years when you went from steam trains that used to belt out a real load of smoke to diesels that were a bit better, and now electrics that are much smoother, much quieter and don't belt out smoke at all, so less of a problem for pollution. So we are 9.5 miles out from Darlington now. I don't foresee any problems meeting the timetable, especially if we don't get any red lights. no sign of any as yet, not even a yellow as yet. So just to say again, the way the signals work, if you see a double yellow light, that usually indicates that the next one will be a single yellow and the one after that will be a red. So double yellow gives you a chance to start slowing down and being prepared to stop for the red signal. So we're still on green signals at the moment, and we're down to 8 miles, about 8.3 miles to go. So we're about 8 minutes out. Still heading for being early. Nice open countryside along here. Not an area of the UK that I'm terribly familiar with. I've never lived or worked that far north, to be honest, so for those who don't know, I was born in Cambridge in East Anglia. I worked in Cambridge and also London for a number of years, and then subsequently lived and worked in Peterborough, and I now live just in Lincolnshire. So about an hour and a half further north than Peterborough, up the east coast, but this particular area is quite a bit further north up the east coast. Darlington is getting up towards sort of Newcastle area, and once you're beyond there, you're pretty much into Scotland. So whilst this isn't the very northern extremities of the east coast, it's getting on that way compared to where I am, certainly. Same side of the country, both on the North Sea, so both tend to get the cold winds off the North Sea, often blow in some pretty inclement weather. Certainly in the winter, wind coming off the North Sea is usually not good news. If the wind's coming from the west or southwest or even south, it's usually a lot milder than northerly winds or easterly winds that blow from Siberia away, but as I say, we haven't had that this year. We seem to have avoided that, which is always good news. I'm told it's something to do with the position of the jet stream, but I'm not enough of a meteorologist to know that. Oh dear. So the emergency stop call has been pulled. The onboard police sergeant will investigate. Hold still till you get the all clear. So our speed is dropping, you can see. So we are going to have to wait for the police sergeant to say we're okay to go. So the brakes are applied. We can do nothing about that. So the train is going to run to a halt, and we will have to sit and wait until we're told we can carry on. One assumes it's an accidental pulling of the emergency cord. We're trying to get them now on time for the game, and if somebody's pulled the cord, that could obviously make them late through no fault of ours. So let's hope this delay is not too long. I certainly wasn't expecting that. I was thinking we might possibly get a red signal to delay us, but here we are, 5 miles, just under 5 miles out of Darlington, and the emergency cord has been pulled. Let's hope it's nothing and can easily be sorted out, and we can be on our way. Explains why they said there was a police sergeant on board. You can tell I've not driven this scenario before, because that came as quite a surprise to me, I have to confess. And I'm not sure how long we're going to be sitting here. We're currently heading for being 1 minute early compared to the 14:05 we're supposed to achieve. And if we don't get the go ahead to get moving soon, we are going to be late. Through no fault of mine, I would say. I was an overexcited fan they've been fined by the police sergeant. Oh, I say. So we can proceed. So let's get going. So there is a fine for incorrect use of emergency cords on trains, which obviously the police sergeant has decided to enforce. Not sure how much that will cost the van in question. A couple £100 maybe. So that's okay. We're still on target to be about a minute early, so it hasn't cost us too much. So an overexcited fan pulled the emergency cord. Well, I'm surprised that an overexcited fan would be pulling a cord, but there you go. I suppose it just shows you never know. He wouldn't have been too popular with his colleagues on the train if he'd made them late, that's a sure fact. They're obviously quite excited for the game, so let's hope it's a good game. Best side wins and all that stuff, being a neutral. I'm sure the people on this train would disagree and say the only team that should win is York City, but there you go. So we're heading into Darlington now. We're only about 4 miles out, still in 80 mile an hour. Oh, we've got wheel slip, look. Exactly what I said you need to avoid. And we got a little, tracks are obviously wet enough that the wheels started to slip, even though we'd been at 100% acceleration for quite some time, so that's a surprise as well. So all these factors are why it's yellow difficulty and not green. Fans pulling emergency cords, wheels slipping on wet tracks, getting a bit of everything today. Apart from sunshine. Don't have as much chance of any of that, but there you go. So 3 miles out now. Still green signals. We haven't had red signals at all, which is good news. So we're going to leave the train to coast now at 75 miles an hour. Don't think we need worry too much about trying to run much faster than we're doing. We're heading for being 30 seconds ahead of the required time. They said get there by 14:05 and our ETA is 14:04:27, so hopefully that will be acceptable to the scenario and get us maximum points. Well, we don't score points in standard mode, but maximum experience points. More experience points the better. As you get those, you unlock achievements in the game. We're now coming up on a yellow signal. Just when I said we hadn't had any, we get one. So we're going to get the warning in a second that we have to acknowledge. I'll just apply the brake gently. There we go. So I've acknowledged that. As I said earlier, if you don't acknowledge that, the emergency brake will apply again and we'll be rolling to a halt and have to reset everything before we can continue, so we don't want that. So this next signal could well be single yellow. Can't see it as yet. Yeah, there it is, and it looks like it's single yellow. So if that one's single yellow, the one after it could very easily be red. So all our efforts to make it there by 14:05 may be in vain. We'll see. So we're coming to a single yellow, as you see. So that indicates that the next signal is probably on red, unless it changes before we get there. No, definitely red at the moment, I can see that. Let's hope somebody's going to change that signal for us relatively quickly. We don't want to lose time again. Definitely got red signal, no doubt about that at the moment. So we've got the brake applied to bring us to a halt, and we're going to have to wait for this signal by the look of things. So things were going very well. Then we had a fan pull the emergency cord and made us stop, and now we've got a red signal that's going to make us stop by the look of things. So all that way I said we hadn't had anything other than green signals, and of course we get red. So I think we're now going to be slightly late, but it looks like the signal has changed to green now. There you go, green signal, so we can continue on our way now. So let's see if we can get in close to time as possible. We're only going to be like 30 seconds late or something, so I don't think that's so bad given the circumstances. Certainly I would claim the delays haven't been caused by me applying emergency brakes and bringing the train to a halt or something. It was basically due to an overexcited fan and then the red signal. So we're fast approaching the station now, where we can drop off the football supporters to go to the game, and that should be the end of the scenario. So looks like we're coming into this platform here. So the doors will open on the right. Quite a nice looking, quite old station. It's quite attractive actually. Quite nice. So start applying the brake. Make sure we stop by the end of the platform and let them all off ready to go to their game of football or soccer if you're American. So we're not far from stopping point now. I think that will probably do us. So we'll come to a stop. We'll open the doors. And there they all go. Interesting, there's one or two people getting on, so I'm not sure where this train is going next, but I don't think it'll be anything to do with us. There seem to be a number of people getting on to the train, and quite a few got off and have now headed off to their football match, I assume. They all look like they're in suits and ties, and they look very football supporterish to me, but there you go. So let's see what it says. We get a debrief. Well done, you arrived at Darlington station. Unfortunately, the emergency stop incident hampered your arrival time. Next time, try to be prepared for such problems. Well, I don't know what else you wanted me to do, to be frankly honest, but there you go. That's it. So interesting scenario, a bit different to the normal. So it says our targets complete was 1 of 2, so we stopped at 0 out of 0 destinations. Didn't have anything. Picked up passengers at 1 out of 2 platforms. Okay, so which platform were we supposed to pick people up from and didn't? Not sure. Operation hours, speeding twice, passenger freight comfort level exceeded 0.001% of the time. Well, that must be when he pulled the cord, I imagine. And wheel slippage, a little bit of wheel slippage, and that's it. So okay, not too bad, I guess. So see you next time for maybe we can find something else that's a bit different. Okay, take care guys, bye.